And from this point, I will be talking a little more about how, this act is going to impact companies like background verification companies or data fiduciaries that deal with a lot of data. So first, if you've heard, like, it's going to be a quick recap as well, right? So if you've heard through the entire discussion, the DPDP Act specifies and only talks about personal data. So according to this act, what does it mean by personal data? So it defines personal data, right? So any data that helps us identify an individual is called personal data. It can be name, address, date of birth, phone number, email ID, any of that sort. So wherever the act says data, we're talking about personal data. Next is, how does the act impact BGV companies, right? So we have 8 points here, starting with consent. Consent being the most important, point in this act. So what do you mean by consent here, right? So according to this act, you have to take explicit consent. The consent has to be taken, freely, voluntarily, and specifically. The purpose also has to be mentioned clearly. And implicit consent, that is, actions cannot be considered as a consent, right? Next is data minimization, which was already covered previously. So I will give you an example as a background verification company, right? If we are conducting, say, address verification check, we can only collect data related to address verification. We cannot collect data, say, about criminal records, your past criminal records, etc. So you have to collect data only to fulfill the purpose. Third one is data accuracy and other, obligations of data fiduciaries. We have to ensure the data that we use are accurate. How do you do that? You can do that by, ensuring that the data that you're collecting, that the sources that you're getting from, right, is reliable. You can get it verified from the data subjects themselves or from the uh, third party. Or you can also have policies and procedures in place to ensure that the data is accurate. Fourth one is data security, like we've already, GT had already covered. So you have to, there are ways to, make sure that there is no possibility of data breach or data leakage. And some of the ways is training your employees, about which I'll talk a little later on. And the other thing is having, say, like firewalls or encrypting your data and having certificates like, how SpringVerify has certificates like SCO2 and ISO certificates, GDPR certificates. These all show that we abide by all the data regulations. The fifth one we have is data subject rights. So this act also defines and gives rights to individuals. Individuals have right to access data, right to delete the data. If they don't wish to continue the process, they can just ask it to the fiduciary to delete it. They have the right to get it corrected if there's any mistake in the data. They can ask them to correct it and also give consent or consent to transfer if required to a third party. And last one is they can nominate another person in case of death or incapacity. So these are the rights of data subjects. Next we have is data retention. So what this means that you can store the data till you fulfill the purpose. So once the purpose is fulfilled, you will have to, get rid of the data unless for any other legal purpose. Just like how GT had mentioned, right? So now onwards, like HR companies, or companies in general, if the employee is leaving the organization, you will have to take consent even if you want to store the data in your organization. You'll have to ask them, can we keep it with us, like even after you leave the organization or not? So you can't continue to keep it without their consent or store it. The next one is data sharing. So if you as a data fiduciary wish to transfer data to a third party for some reason, you will need to take another consent for the same. Then we have is cross-border data transfers. So the act states that if you wish to transfer data to any country outside of India, you'll have to follow by certain rules and regulations stated by the act. Then we have the obligations of data fiduciaries. Again, data fiduciaries, nothing but organizations, right? So we have to ensure that the data is accurate. We have to make sure there is no possibility of data breaching or data leakage, like destruction, disclosure, modification. None of that should be, they should not give scope for that to happen. Then you should adhere to the subject rights. Individuals can come up to us as a data fiduciary or background verification company and ask us like, how are you processing my data? What sort of data have you collected about me? They can ask us that, and you have to abide by it, and you have to provide them with proper information. The fourth point is, according to this, like this act has established this new unit called Data Protection Board. So if there is any misuse of data, if there is any breach of data, leakage of data, and you want to complain, this is the board you go to. It can be an individual, candidate, organization, any sort of complaint you have related to data, go to this board. They are here to ensure every organization is following the act. Next, we have put together a checklist for all the data fiduciaries, right? That helps you, to make sure you're complying by the act. So I've discussed all of the points except for the last three. So employee training, right? You have to educate and train your employees and tell them and show them how do you deal with data, how do you manage data, right? Uh, and you can do so by, one, I'm going to give this PPT along with more slides at the end of this presentation. I'm going to email this PPT to you all so that you can use this to, host another webinar internally, educate all your employees and educate all your team members so that we don't end up paying, hefty fines, say like 250 crores. So to avoid all of that, you can train your employees by doing that. And also having other safety measures in place that has already been mentioned. Next we have is conduct regular data audits. Why should you conduct regular data audits, right? So one of the main reasons is to, detect any data breach that might happen in the future, and also to ensure that the data that you have or you're using is accurate. These are the main reasons as to why you have to regularly conduct data audits. Last point is choose reputable partners. So when you're onboarding, say, a background verification company itself, right? Make sure they're following or abiding by all these data act, and they have all securities in place, and the certificates, like I will talk about again. You should make sure these companies have that, not misuse data just like that. So choose your partners wisely, like third party vendors. This is the perfect time for me to talk about background verification. SpringVerify. There's a 50% members are not using background verification software. So let me tell you all about why you should use it and also introduce SpringVerify. So for those of you all who know or don't know, SpringVerify is a background verification software. We use AI and automation to conduct checks and make it, conduct checks faster, make it more reliable and accurate, right? So this is about our product, and we are industry's most top-rated background verification software. We have recently hit a milestone of 1,000 plus reviews on Google, and also received 4.9 stars on Google, right? So I will say why. So one is we have our turnaround time is 7 to 14 days. Here are the industries that we cater to: fintech, e-commerce, etc. Here are our top features, right? Workflow automations, cut costs. And I would say, one of our main USPs, we save like 50% of HR's time. And our support team, customer support team is the best in the industry, always available to cater to any, needs of our clients. So how, like, when I say, we are helping save HR's time, I will tell you how it used to happen. Background verification happened previously, traditional, okay? So first, the company HR used to request documents from candidates, and the candidate sends a document to HR. HR shares the details to the BGV partner. They get it verified, send report back to HR. So if you can see, the HR is involved like multiple times. So this results in them, wasting so much time on just verification process, when instead they can be doing so much more with that time. So we have changed the whole game for HR by, so all the HRs have to do if they use SpringVerify, right? Just upload basic details like name and email, which takes less than 5 minutes. Upload them to SpringVerify portal and SpringVerify portal. So after that, we'll handle everything. We send emails to candidates. We also send follow-ups if required. We send that to the candidate, and the candidate uploads all the documents to SpringVerify portal, and we send real-time updates to company HR. So the company HR from, spending like so much time, like hours together for verification to only 5 minutes. So this is how, SpringVerify helps you all save time. These are the compliances I told you. Like, it's very important to ensure that all the your third-party vendors that you're going to onboard have compliances like this, and we have these SOC2, GDPR, ISO 2 certificates. The latest one is here. Yeah, and we conduct 20 plus checks. Some of them, the main important ones, have been mentioned here. And yeah, we have been like 2,500 plus companies have trusted SpringVerify, and we, again, 7 to 14 working days turnaround time, and some of the checks get done like in less than 2 days. And here are the reviews that I was talking about on Google. And we've also received a badge on G2 platform. G2 platform is basically a platform where you can rate and review softwares, and we have received high performer fall 2023. So yeah, trust but verify. Thank you.